All right, let's get to another conversation now relating to digital assets. See, not just crypto and digital asset space. That's a crossroads now, with no clear legal framework yet. The industry has continued to grow, attracting both opportunity and scrutiny. Cryptocurrency Committee at the National Assembly, led by Honorable Bamishele, is now working to chart a path forward. But questions remain: how are stakeholders engaging with the committee to ensure the sector's growth is balanced with security, regulation, and economic impact? Joining me to unpack this now, we have Mela, Claude. Ake is a lead partner at Mela, Claude, Ake & Co. And we also have Segun Kosemani, CEO of Botany Cash. Great to have you both. Happy New Year. Fantastic. All right, I'll start with you, Claude. Great to have you on the show, Claude. So, Nigeria's crypto space, buzzing, with the absence of a clear, digital asset and crypto law. Now there's a cryptocurrency committee, at the National Assembly led by Honorable Bamishele working towards, changing this. In what ways are stakeholders, working with the committee to ensure, the report, encompasses the reality and, fosters growth in all areas of the economy with security and regulation? What are you seeing there?
Thank you, Ladi. Thank you for the opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here. The virtual space, crypto space, has grown largely from where it used to be many years ago, where it was almost a crime to be involved in blockchain activities, to where it is today, where the Investment and Securities Act of 2025 has recognized virtual assets as part of investment and securities and is regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. However, reform is an ongoing project, any policy in any jurisdiction, in any country of the world, and in every sector. So it doesn't mean that the ISA 2025 is our final bus stop. There's still more to do. There's still more to be done. It's an evolving space to continue to evolve. The attention of the National Assembly through ad hoc committee set by the Speaker of the House of Representatives as chairman is very welcome, and we hope that we can cooperate even further. We already have areas where we're already collaborating and trying to work things out with the National Assembly. We want to do more, be more involved in helping to shape very useful legislation for the ecosystem. So we are, at the moment, 1 or 2 interactions, but we hope to deepen that and cover more ground in the new year.
Definitely, we're watching the space. 2025 was a year of so much talk about regulation and, digital assets. That was a big conversation here in Nigeria. Let me bring it to Segun now. So, Segun, what would you say were the biggest challenges, facing, blockchain, virtual asset, and the virtual asset industry in Nigeria, most of 2025? What would you say were the, biggest challenges? And it seems, will they still continue, with us in 2026?
Happy New Year, Ladi. Happy New Year, Channels TV. Thank you for always giving us the platform for expression. We really love Channels TV because we know that you take blockchain and the virtual assets emerging industries seriously. The absence of standards and market structure made our system, and I mean the entire blockchain, cryptocurrency, virtual asset system, a system without guardrails. When you have fragmented regulatory circulars, when you have overlapping institutional mandates, when you have markets determining its own participants by itself, determining its own rules by itself, compliance becomes very selective. Yes, the ISA 2025 was a beautiful beginning, but of course, like I've always maintained, we need more. We lack a market structure. Like the US have a Clarity, Act, they have the Genius Act. The Clarity Act is more like what is going on now. like a market structure bill. That's what we need. We need a Bible for the virtual asset service space. Blockchain is very big. It's not just virtual assets alone. There's cryptocurrency. There's so many things that you can use the blockchain for beyond monetary values. So we hope that this fragmentation will convert into alignment, and a big opportunity is in front of us. The Speaker of the House of Representatives have led the country towards a pathway using the Bamishile-led committee. I mean, the Committee for Economic, Regulatory, and Security Implications of Cryptocurrency and Point of Sale Adoption in Nigeria. Now we have an opportunity. Last year, between 70 to 100 stakeholders were there at the National Assembly to make our voice heard, and they listened to us. I mean, more than 15 players spoke. And of course, that same committee have had the opportunity to speak with the ONSA, the SEC, the NFIU, the EFCC, and we understand very well, it is glaring, no more question, that this is what is affecting the market and making it speculative is because of lack of coherence amongst the regulators and, of course, the stakeholders. Really, there's something called the NTAA, which has begun from yesterday, the 1st of January 2026, right? To some subtle extent, I don't want to use the word large, so I don't become too ambiguous. The NTAA pretty much kind of undermined the ISA 2025, and a lot of people are not talking. But we think that we can really help this government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and all the regulators as true stakeholders, ones who are heavily invested in this space. We are the market participants. We are the ones who the investors come to directly. We are the ones who determine how transaction moves in partnership with many stakeholders on the regulatory side. For example, the banks are the ones who are in charge of on-ramp and off-ramp. But we act like this is not the reality, when that is how money moves via virtual assets. It should be brought to the open, right? We should stop regulating in silos. There should be partnership, synergy between the SEC and the central bank. You know, the central bank handles payments, SEC handles security. You know, we have the EFCC in charge of crimes and whatever it is, illicit money flow being monitored by the NFIU. Very, very important, because if you're doing transaction in this country, whether virtual asset or not, you must report to the NFIU. And then the ONSA takes it very serious, because this is a matter of national security. So fragmentation must become alignment. That was our biggest problem in 2026. And we hope that that loophole that has attracted foreign infrastructure, foreign entities to take up our market share and eat away what we are supposed to be benefiting from, making us consumers where we are supposed to be owners, end in 2026.
All right. Let me take to you now, Mela. Definitely, you know, you have the legal background, but how do you think, you know, blockchain, digital assets regulation, how do you think it should be, you know, orchestrated, you know, in Nigeria? And do you think it's something that can be regulated in a short time? You know, this is a technology a lot of people don't really understand. Do you think it might take more years to actually truly regulate and, you know, get an alignment, you know, for all of these different stakeholders?
Thank you very much, Ladi. The regulators are not totally new to the blockchain technology phenomenon. Even though it's an emerging sector, they are not new to this. They've been working with it for quite some time. And, you know, one of these ways to get a grip of something which you do not really and clearly understand is to look at someone else who has made some progress with it. Now, Nigeria is not the only country in the world that is trying to make sense of this emerging technology. Several other countries who are grappling with it, but have been able to come up with very interesting and somewhat comprehensive legislation. What we need to do, what our regulators need to do, what our lawmakers need to do, is see where they can borrow and leaf, you know, from other countries, whether in Africa, whether in North America, in Europe, and so on and so forth. Right? And like the others in the sector domestically, to say, okay, these are the things we find. What do you think we should move in order to adapt these to our own unique circumstances? Because it doesn't make sense to adopt things wholesale all the time. You must factor in your unique circumstances. So I don't think we need another 5, 10 years for our regulators or our lawmakers to be able to understand what they've been seeing this for quite a time. Many of them have gone on international training courses and refresher courses and so on and so forth to give them the understanding of what this technology is about. And the truth is that it is these trainings, the exposure to these trainings, these courses, and these interactions that have even brought them to this place of acceptance, right? Where we now have virtual assets being included in the current Investment and Securities Act 2025, and also the circular by the Central Bank of Nigeria, walking back its previous position where it didn't want banks to have any dealings with anybody that was doing anything in crypto. So now it has walled back its position, and all of this is because they have exposed themselves to knowledge about the sector, knowledge about the technology. They see the benefits. They know that it's evident. So all they need to do right now is rub minds with their own colleagues in other countries to be able to understand what the best practice is or best practices are globally. And then, like I said, meet with the stakeholders back home and say, hey, guys, how do we do this? How do we fine tune this for our own unique circumstances?
All right, so I guess, for Nigeria, get something that works, for Nigeria, not really take out, what's going on in the global space. We see what's happening in the U.S. But, Segun, at this point, I'm going to take you to some price action. Now, I know you're a Bitcoin maxi, Segun. In a few minutes now, 2025, Bitcoin closed in red the whole year. That's for 2025. This is the first time this is happening, post-halving. I know you're a Bitcoin maxi. Talk to me. How do you see that play out for Bitcoin?
I mean, that's cheap sats for everyone. There are 100 million Satoshis in one Bitcoin, just like you have 60 kobo make 1 Naira. I think I'm not wrong with that. The unit of account of Naira is kobo. The unit of account of cent, of dollar is cent. That of cedis is pesos. That of pound sterling is pence. The unit of account of Bitcoin is SATS for short, SATS, or Satoshi Nakamoto, Satoshi for full, drawn from the name of the pseudonymous inventor. Now, there are 100 million Satoshis in one BTC, and one Satoshi now is costlier than 1 Naira. In other words, you would need almost 1 Naira, 30 kobo to buy one Satoshi. That wasn't the case about 1 year ago. As a matter of fact, your 1 Naira, just about 10 Naira could have bought you half a Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, 100 Naira could have bought you 2 Bitcoins less than 14, 13 years ago, right? And you see how that has changed so far. So when price of Bitcoin pretty much comes down like this, and people say, oh, Bitcoin has crashed, I just laugh. That's a bonanza. For people like me, I see that as an opportunity to buy more, right? Because we have cheaper sats. Even at the rate that Bitcoin price is now in fiat terms, right, of $80,000, one sat is still bigger than 1 Naira. So young people like myself and true investors don't even want to save it in the Naira. That's why you see people running after stable coins, yada, 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 which is still a Trojan horse for dollarization anyway. So I think people should realize that Bitcoin is a scarce asset. Bitcoin is the best performing asset in the last 10 years. If you look at the growth trajectory of Bitcoin, nothing has really beat it. I've said that over and over again.
Right.
And Bitcoin was largely, the market cap was largely higher than that of silver some months ago. And you can see what silver is doing now. Now, when we get back into the bullish season, what do you think Bitcoin is going to be doing? Most likely, the market cap is going to beat that of NVIDIA. So it's an opportunity for people to buy more. Nigeria should actually pay attention to cushion our, financial reserve, just like we have gold, just like we have oil. We should actually buy Bitcoin for the country. Look at what America is doing. Bitcoin is no more a monetary conversation. It's now a security, a national security grade conversation.
All right, Segun, yeah. And I did mention, yes, you're a Bitcoin maxi, and definitely you've seen a silver lining even in that performance for 2025. Well, thank you so much. We've run out of time now, but thank you both for coming on the show today. Segun Kosemani is the CEO, Bought Me Cash, Mela Claude, my lead partner, Mela Claude, I Can Grow. Thank you both, and Happy New Year.